What does it really take to build a business that honors your brilliance and peace? Behind every breakthrough is a decision to lead differently. You're about to meet the women who made that decision and changed everything. Welcome to the Luxe CEO Evolution. Hey everyone, it's Shayla Boyd-Gill, the Luxury Business Mentor and the creator of the Luxury Business Experience and the Lux Scaling Path. I'm super excited here today because we have another fabulous woman that I cannot wait to introduce you to. When I say phenomenal, if you looked it up in the dictionary, this is who you're going to see, this phenomenal woman here. So I am super excited for another Lux CEO interview with Ms. Alycia Huston.
Hey!
Woo!
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
I am happy to have you here, Alicia. As I love Alicia. I will tell everyone this. I love Alicia. Alicia and I have worked together, and just the synergy that we had working with each other was very different. Like I know, connecting with people, I connect with a lot of women. There was something about her spirit that I connected
Mm,
with when I first met her, and I will never, ever, ever experience that again because she just had a certain light,
mm,
and that light, I was attracted to it immediately. I knew,
mm,
I don't know who this woman is, but I need to
mm.
experience her. So I think this is a good segue for us, Alicia.
Love it.
First, just let us know a little bit about you and your business, and then we'll get
Sure.
into the really juicy parts. Okay.
You got it. You got
All
it. So,
right.
as the amazing Shayla Boyd Gill said, my name is Alycia Huston, and I hail out of San Diego, California.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful San Diego, California. Expensive San Diego, California. High
Yep.
gas prices, San Diego, California.
Yep.
So, my background is in STEM. I have always loved science, always loved research, and I've always loved bringing like high level concepts down into granular bite sized pieces. And that's just how I'm wired. And so, with that background, I eventually co-founded a biopharma company, sold that, and moved into the space of organizational leadership. And that's what we do now. We are really, really committed to supporting organizations in their culture through the lens of operations. A lot of people don't realize your culture can spiral out of control if your operations are out of order. So that's what we do, and we do it through a variety of programming, workshops, speaking, all that fun stuff. But at the end of the day, it has to make sense. It has to align with who we are as an organization, who I am as a founder, and what the vision is that I have for myself and this organization moving forward.
That's it right there. It's the piece that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah.
It's the piece that people kind of ignore, but you can't afford to ignore. So I
Yes.
love that. And I see that was one of the reasons that we did get along well because we can both geek out about science and engineering
Yes.
and still do the things that we do, even if
Right.
it doesn't look like science and engineering. It
Right.
really is.
Yeah.
In the
It.
end, it really is processes, putting things together, and the science of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's
That
the
part.
science of what you're doing. So when we connected, we had a mutual friend that connected us, and you were telling me about your business.
Mm.
Tell us a little bit before we even started working together.
Ooh.
What did your business look like, and what did it feel like?
Yeah, that's so funny because now you have to go back in time, right? You
You
got to
do.
go into the time banks and take yourself back into that moment. So that was a time I was working with a different individual at that time, and things were moving, but I knew something was missing, right? So this is where I think we can lose our footing at times because we think, oh, I'm working with someone already. But that one person may have a gift in a particular area. And quite honestly, she did. She had this gift in marketing.
Mm,
I realized when we connected and I was at your event, there was a larger gap that was missing, and that was that in business. Listen, this entrepreneurial world is it's no punk, it's no joke.
no.
It's not for the faint of heart, and so there are a lot of components and layers to business. And so, although I can help other people with their business, it's hard to see your own blind spots at times. So, when I was at your event, it was allowing me to see where there were some blind spots. And so let me speak to those very quickly, those blind spots. Those blind spots were a level of clarity on how do I really support my business people that are called to me? How do I really support my clients? What does that look like? How do I verbalize that? How do I share that? And then how do I take ownership of that? So that was a gap for me. Um, there was a gap on understanding, I think, or bringing together how I work. I'm women, listen, I'm women focused and men friendly. And
Hmm.
so, how did I bring that piece like cohesively together so men didn't feel excommunicated, but knew that, yes, my focus is women, but you are very much welcome into this dialogue and conversation because we
Yeah.
need you to be a part of it too. So,
Hmm.
that was a sticking point for me, I will say, Shayla. And then finally, I would say that that last piece was what does that look like when it all comes together in dialogue, in collateral, in website, in communication with email. So I would say that those were kind of those areas where I was a bit challenged to bring it all together in a cohesive manner because I felt
Yeah.
very compartmentalized and so how can you show up on LinkedIn when you're feeling compartmentalized and
Yeah.
in disarray? How can you show up um, to send conversation through email to your people? You just don't. You just kind of say, well, I'm just not going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy.
Yeah. Very
It's very
easy.
easy to be that. And I'm glad you spoke of the gaps because gaps definitely exist. And even when we're speaking of gaps, gaps are usually related to what I call some phase of bottlenecks in the
Yeah.
business. And I've been speaking a lot about bottlenecks recently. So is there an area where you realize you were the bottleneck in your business?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that area became very clear because like when we were talking, when we started working together, you like listen, we're all brilliant, right? And so we do a lot of things. I was a recreator of the wheel. That was me. I
Yes.
would recreate. And you were like, Alycia, you that's going to hurt you. It's going to suppress you. You've got to bring your framework together. And that
Mm,
was like this moment, this aha. And I was like, framework. What a
right. I have
concept,
to organize this.
right? So that's where I realized my bottleneck was because it wasn't organized in a way that I could convey it to
Okay.
somebody supporting me or those that I was going to even support, right? So that framework was a bottleneck for me. That
I
lack
love
of
that. The
framework.
lack of the framework. Yeah.
Mhm.
Huge
Yeah,
bottleneck
yeah,
because we get used to doing stuff our way.
yeah.
And because we can do it, we do it. But then we end up, like you said, recreating and overdoing
Yes,
it over and over again.
yes,
So before we started working together, you were successful, right?
yes, yes.
So what did success look like? Like in your mind, you wouldn't have
Mm,
shown up if you didn't feel like you were already kind of successful. We all
yeah,
had to be successful to get to the point that we were.
yeah.
So how did that success feel? Maybe that's a better
Mm.
question.
That's a good question, and I'm just you see me pondering because
Yeah.
um, that's a really profound question. And you know, success felt hard. It felt hard. Yes, I was successful, but it was um, consistent grind, right? And it doesn't mean that there's not going to be these moments where you are creating something or you're right in the midst of something. So the work is going to be a little more or like you're grinding a little harder, but
Yes.
that was consistent, and that's what I believe was the challenge. It was a consistent grind. It was like hard, right?
Yeah.
Success was really hard. It was challenging. Yes, I was successful even when we met.
Yeah.
But it was like I just felt it was costing me kind of my health. It was costing me um, more time with my family because there was just a lot of I was finding myself, I will say quite honestly, at the mercy of my client. I was kind of jumping when they said jump, and so it was costing me my own peace and health and wellness, and there was a lot of burnout too, to be quite honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
This is good.
yeah,
And I think this is a good segue because when we met, one of the themes that I had was it's time for your business to serve you.
yeah, yeah,
And success, it looks different on everyone. We can make it
yeah.
look good here.
Mm,
but the price of success can be expensive,
Yeah.
very expensive. The price, I love that you said, your health,
Yeah.
relationships. We
Yeah.
see it all the time.
Yes.
And that's something that's really important in my world that we preserve those things. There's a quality around there's something about the quality of life.
Yeah. Big
And
time.
it's hard to have a quality of life if your business is draining you.
Yeah.
And we think that we start our businesses for that. But if we don't build it the way that we need to build
Yes.
it, it can be a challenge. So
Yeah.
we met, and this kind of brings us back to the beginning when I said
Yeah.
that Alycia has a light. We met at an event that I hosted in San Diego.
Yes. Mm.
And I remember you entering into the space. We were having lunch. You had to come a little bit later.
Yes.
But this big spirit walked into this space and she didn't have to say a word. This energy said, "I am here." And I said, "Who's that?" I remember everyone's head was like, "Woo, who's that?" And I said, "I don't know who that is, but I like her already. I hope she's here for this event." So I just remember you walking. I don't know if you remember walking in the space, but
I do.
I remember you walking in the space and I said, "Oh, I like her.
Yeah.
I like her. I like that she walks in her confidence, her brilliance."
Mm.
I didn't know what you did because our
Mm.
mutual friend did not give me details.
Gotcha.
And I
Gotcha.
was like, I don't care. I like her. And
Yeah.
her energy is perfect for this space. So you spent a few days with me in the space,
Yep.
and then we talked, and you made a decision to join my community.
Yes.
So I'm curious to know, did you have any fears or hesitation around that? Because
Mm.
again, we had not
Right.
interacted in any way.
Right.
What were the things that you were questioning? Because their
Yeah.
questions are normal. And then when it came to investing in yourself, was there something that you had to overcome
Mm.
before you could say this is the best decision for me?
Absolutely. So, quite candidly, I believe in investing in myself and moving the needle forward because I understand that I don't know everything. So, I am very intentional about investing in myself through the wisdom of others, right? But
Correct.
being making a good decision with that investment. So that's number
Yes,
one because I have made poor investments that have not
we all
yielded
have.
the fruit. And so that was one thing that I will tell you that just ensuring like that's why we had conversation, we had dialogue a couple of times because I wanted to ensure you could support me in moving me to where I wanted to be, even if I couldn't verbalize it fully at that time because you're in it, you're in the
Hmm.
kind of muck as I call it.
Yes.
So that was one of the things is just trusting my picker that through the conversations we had, through me being honest and transparent with you with what I was looking to move myself and my business toward, that you could be that person. So that was one thing I'd say mindset wise that really I wanted to, I won't say I had to get over because it wasn't like this huge sticking point, but I needed to be intentional and clear that you were indeed that particular person. And one other thing that I will say, if you will recall, when I mentioned in the beginning, I was working with another woman, but she was in
Right.
marketing, making sure that it wasn't the same thing, right? Making
Hmm.
sure that that I was not investing in a mentor or an advisor that would be the same. I've done that before too,
Yes.
accidentally, right?
Hmm.
Like it's like, ooh, this is like the same thing. So just making sure that that investment was different so that I knew that it would support me in moving my business, my vision, challenging me in a different way than that other particular person was doing too in that realm. So I would say those were the biggest things. But for me, investing in myself, just quite honestly was never a bottleneck thing for me because I
Perfect.
just believe in understanding that it comes back at least 7 to 10 fold. And but we have the onus and the responsibility of making sure that investment is so in good ground, quite honestly.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's one of the things I love about people that are a part of this community. they know they want to invest in
Yeah.
something that's going to support them, but you all are also vetting at the
Yes.
same time. And vetting is important because
Yes.
we get excited when we see things.
Yeah.
We get
We
excited.
do.
I too like to invest in things, and then I have to say, is this the best thing for me
Right.
right now?
Right.
Because when I make a decision, I make a decision and I'm like, I'm going to move. But vetting is essential, especially when you've been in this industry for a while.
Yeah.
We have to do that. And then we have to trust our own selves
Yes.
in the process too of doing what we say we're going to do. So
Yes,
I
Shayla.
loved that about you because you did ask amazing questions and we
Yeah.
went back and forth
Yes, we
several
did.
times and there were
Yes.
certain things you're like, I need this. Is
Yeah.
this going to happen? And I was
Right.
able to answer those questions and say, here's what we can do. And
Right.
here's what we're not going to do,
Right.
but let's make it make sense for you. So you got
Yeah.
into what we call the Lux CEO Inner Circle.
Yes.
I'm curious to know what started shifting for you
Mm.
when we started working together? Like what are
Mm.
the things that you noticed that started shifting? Or did you start thinking differently? Did you look at
Yeah.
your business differently? Tell me more about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so I would say what started shifting, number one, we kind of touched on that, was that piece of understanding. Like we've got to have a framework. Alicia, you're expending a lot of additional energy with recreating things. Like it doesn't mean that, just even you spoke on that when we were talking, when we were having a dialogue, it was like when I was looking to come into the Lux Circle, it was like, can we do this? Can we do that? So you still had a framework. And so you were clear on what you could shift within the framework to meet the needs of your client, AKA
Correct.
Alicia. And
Yes.
so that's really what conveyed to me too. That was, I'd say, the first mindset shift for me was having that framework that, and so I think for myself, it was like, I was even unbeknownst to myself, kind of running from that framework because I felt it would lock me into something, right?
Yeah.
And it was the understanding that the framework are kind of the bumper rails. And so within the framework, though, you have the ability and the freedom to do some
Mhm.
shifting in there that meets the need of the client. But then there's still those certain rails that we're not going to go outside this rail and we're not going to go
Yeah.
outside of that rail, right? And
Yes.
so I would say that was one of the first things that it was like, okay, we've got to kind of create this framework. What do your bumper rails look like, Alicia? I think that was
Yeah.
really excellent. And then another thing too, I think it was very important that a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, all of whatever you call yourself, solopreneur, we don't talk about the money. We
Mhm.
don't talk about what does that look like? What do you need to do to create that? And so we talked about the money too, right? We talked about revenue goals. We talked about when we met them, when they weren't met,
Right.
those type of things. What can we do? What type of strategies what can we implement here to kind of hit those revenue goals or exceed them? So that was really important too, that we're actually talking about the revenue. That was really helpful for me and really different as well. So I really liked that piece as we were moving forward
Yeah.
in our relationship. So I would say that really the revenue and the strategies behind the revenue, like what are your goals? How are we going to get there? And then kind of reverse engineering that strategy piece, and
Mhm.
then that framework piece to work within, as I keep saying, the bumper rails. Yeah,
I
really.
love the bumper rails.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I love to tell you all like the framework creates boundaries
Yeah.
because we're really smart and we could easily slip outside of those boundaries if we don't
Yeah.
have the framework. So for you, I said, okay, this is a brilliant woman, just like
Mm.
me, and she
Mm-hmm.
can easily
Oh,
go big. And I'm like, we need to hone in and say, where are we
I
going?
think.
And you were receptive. Once you
Yeah.
understood it, you were
Yeah.
like, I get it. And you
Yeah.
did it brilliantly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you
Thank
you,
you.
you were able to really manipulate and build within that framework. So I
Yes.
love that. And I think it was really funny like when you would show up on our private calls and you're like, yeah, I know I need to know the numbers, Shayla. I
Yeah.
need to be because I will say, tell me about the money this
I'm
month.
like, yeah. Yeah.
And you're right. A lot of people don't want to discuss that. A
Yeah.
lot of people kind of brush over it.
Right.
or they tell stories around it.
Right. 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 Right.
But we can't be supported in what we don't like, take a look at.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, I wanted to make sure we built transparency
Yeah.
in that space to say, let's see what we're dealing with,
Yeah.
because that's the only way we can move and
Right.
control. We can
Right.
control what we're
Right.
dealing with. We cannot control through fear. So I
Yeah.
appreciated that transparency with you too.
Yeah.
So I know you did the framework. I know we talked about the money piece.
Hmm.
Was there a significant or important, like any mindset shift that you're like, wow, I started really thinking about this differently? Or was there
Yeah.
any mindset shift that you experienced in there?
Right. Yes, there was. And there's one I'm thinking of in particular because there was a program that I did that was a cohort program I did for women in leadership. And when we were talking about that, and you were talking about framework and you were talking about, okay, I hear what you're saying, Alicia, but you've got to still have kind of a what's the process for them.
Yes.
And so that when you brought that up, I actually said, I'm going to put a pin in this program right now. Right. So there was a mindset shift that you don't have to do everything. You
Yeah.
can be okay with focusing on the one thing sometimes, right? Sometimes it's that one thing that you need to focus on. So I actually put a pin in that program as we were working together because I realized there were some other things that I needed to and desired to tighten up, right? And
Hmm.
desired to get a better grasp on before adding that other one thing. So there was a mindset shift around you've got to do all the things. For some reason, I don't know if we as women just like we got to do all the things and we really
Right.
don't have to. And
Yeah.
so that was one thing really it's like, yeah, no, I'm going to pin that right now. Just going to doesn't mean it's never coming back. It just means right now I want to give myself permission to focus on the other things that are going to make me masterful, great, really support where I'm desiring to go and where I say I want to go. So
I
yeah.
think this is good. And this is a good follow up to that. Really focusing on the things that you desire to focus on. One of the gifts that you brought to the
Mm,
inner circle, and I believe every woman that steps in is bringing a gift. One of the
yeah.
gifts that you brought and you were able to demonstrate brilliantly in our
Mm,
space was your gift of collaboration.
yes.
And it's something that was, from what I saw, it
Mm,
was very heart centered.
yeah.
It came with ease for you.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit
Sure.
about why collaboration was important to you and your experience of collaborating within that circle?
Sure. So I am a person who believes in relationships. So I'm very relational. I'm not transactional. And so if I am in a space where I can feel it's transactional, that's not the space for me. Now, listen, there's sometimes things are one and done. Like that's okay. But
Yes.
I understand as I build my impact, as I build my mission, the mission I'm called to is about reciprocity and it's about relationship building and collaboration and partnership because I do not believe in one my core belief is that business should not be done in a silo. And so it requires us to converse and collab. And so I'm very careful with who I collaborate with because although collaboration is very much rooted in me, I have made some decisions before because I've been so excited to
Hmm.
get that thing out or move into a space of partnership that I did not choose the best partners. And
Right.
so now as I say yes to spaces like your space and the beauty is that when you say yes to the right community or the right space, the individuals tend to be of a like mindset. Not exactly the same, right? Like, because everyone has
Right.
their own gift, but they tend to be like minded. So, as I was in the inner circle and I was having conversations around what I was creating, and I would reach and all the ladies would be like, that sounds amazing, right?
Hmm.
And I would say straight up, like right there, like, is it some, if you're interested in doing some of this with me, I'd love to have a conversation with you, right? Not just saying yes, but having that conversation. So collaboration, I know, and I think this is where it comes to knowing yourself, knowing what is integral and crucial for you in your impact that you're called to make in the world, your true mission, your values, your own personal values, aligning with those individuals. So every one of those women I had a conversation with, it was being able to align in mission and in values and in impact and in thought and seeing, okay, this is where you would be a great value add for those that I'm serving, right? And then if anyone was like, okay, we're not quite a fit there, but I got you. I'm gonna share your stuff. I'm rooting for you. I'm dropping you notes of like you got this, just encouragement, all of that. It was always some type of collaboration in some type of way, that
Yes.
there was always support. And I think speaks to you as the curator of the space, and it speaks to all of the individuals knowing who they are too, even as we're growing in the space, becoming a part of it. It's just an alignment that is undeniable, and there's such a space of cheerleading for one another,
Yeah.
true support, right? It's not about competition. It is truly a an ecosystem of support that you have created within the inner circle, and it shows
Oh, wow.
tremendously, yeah, what you
Thank you.
have um, really intentionally brought together, Shayla. So that was my experience for the couple of years that I was a part of it, right?
Yeah.
And me and the ladies still, it's not like, oh, nobody's friends anymore.
Right.
No,
It's not one and done. It's not it's
no.
a for it's like we're all together. We're
All
all
of us.
together celebrating
Yeah.
and watching each other grow.
Yeah.
One of the things I enjoyed seeing you do, you came to me, you had and you were hosting retreats, you
Yeah.
had I think your boardroom.
Yeah. Beyond the
Yep,
boardroom.
beyond the boardroom.
That's the one that we paused,
We
right?
paused, and
Yeah.
then you built some new things. Like
Yes.
you launched an event.
Yes.
You built a new event.
Yes.
So there were you scaled your way. I'm going to say you
Yeah.
scaled your way in a very distinct manner. And I
Mm,
watched it and I'm like, she's going to do amazing things. So
mm,
in thinking about those things that you were able to build and just where your
yeah.
business is now, what are
Ooh,
you
it's good.
most proud of?
Yeah. I am most proud that I gave myself permission to do it my way, right? Like to do it my way. It didn't have to look like someone else. It didn't have to be like someone else. Now, there are certain business principles that we want to follow.
Of course, of course, of
You
course.
know, but
Yes.
that I got to do it my way with my own essence, with my own Alycia way, with not having to put myself in this place to show up as Susie did, right? Like
Right.
just being
Right.
Alycia and creating programs, like the programs that I know I'm called to bring into the world to help move people along in their own journey, and trusting myself to do so. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm most proud of, is really doing it my way, trusting myself, and then aligning myself with the right people such as yourself, right, along the way, and it yielding great outcomes for me
Mhm.
and those that said yes to me, right?
That part, yes.
Like I don't just, everyone wins.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can't win if our clients aren't winning.
Right,
That's what it really
right,
boils down to. So
right.
speaking of wins, let's talk about wins since you've worked with me.
Mm,
So it could be, you know, revenue. If you want to talk revenue, that's up to
mm,
you. It
yeah.
could be team. It
Okay.
could be your lifestyle. Like, tell me about a
Yeah.
few wins
I love that.
that you've experienced.
Yeah, so we will. So listen, everybody wants to know about the money first, right? So I will say that I did double my revenue when I was working with you, my dear Shayla. So,
Oh, thank you.
so what you do focus on expands, right? But
Yes.
you need to expand with the plan, okay?
Yes.
So you can't just focus, the money, the money. It's like not like that.
It's a holistic approach of what we
Yes,
focus on.
yes. So I
Yes.
want to say that, like,
Okay.
don't just the money. So I doubled my annual revenue, and so that was absolutely amazing because it was focused on, and then it was focused on with a plan of execution. So that was phenomenal. And then also, I will say another win is that I was able to also focus on my own health and wellness, my own as Alycia, right? I
Yeah.
did, as Shayla knows, that I did lose my father while we were working together, and it was a space too of a realization, right, where I was very supported. Even this is why you have to pick the right person to support you, because life is going to happen, right? Like we would say, life be life, in right,
Life is
Shayla.
life. And yes.
And so you have to pick, you have to make sure that someone that you say yes to can support you, not just in whatever that thing is, but that they also understand life, that they've lived a few things too,
Hmm.
right? So me being over the age of 40, really now over 50, let's be clear. You've got to
And we
have,
look good. Okay.
well, thank you. Yes, we do. You've got to have someone that has a level of understanding and lived experience. And so for me, taking back my health too, because I lost over 80 pounds, and it's wonderful though. It was like there was so much more that came to that. It was a reemergence in back to self.
Mhm.
And ownership. So it's more than just like, right, releasing the weight. There's so much more that comes with it. And so I will say that is one of the biggest wins too. So not just the business, but the personal too, that personal component that is required in business, because if you're not well, how can your business thrive, right? And so it
Mhm.
just gave me an opportunity to realize, Alycia, you got to focus on you, your own health, your own wholeness, your own um, wellness as a woman in this world, as a human in this world. So I would say revenue, focusing on self, were really those two huge wins for me that continue to inform how I move forward today, like
Yeah.
consistently. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, Alicia, that goes back to building your way.
Mm,
It all goes back to building and doing things your way because when you are in control, you
yeah,
get to control this.
yes,
If we are building for outward purposes or just for the money,
yeah,
you are in a silo and it's hard
right,
to focus on you. And I love that you said you had to take care of you.
yeah,
So, one of the big things we focus on with the Lux CEO, and I've been speaking about it even louder this year,
mm,
is the CEO. The CEO is the business. If the CEO is not well, the business is not well. It
yes,
reflects. I want to see more women smile as
yes,
business owners, not just smile in the pictures, but just wake up and smile and have more joy.
yes.
When the joy is snatched from you, it's hard
Mm,
to navigate.
mm, mm, mm,
When life starts lifing,
mm,
as you said, it's important to have a community around you that
yeah,
can support you in that and not just look at you like, what are you doing in the business?
right,
But instead, how are you doing?
yes,
Because many people, we forget to look at our peers and ask, how are you doing?
yeah,
Until it's too late, until
yes,
stress, disease, and other things take over. So
yeah.
I am so glad to see that you are taking care of yourself.
Thank you.
You are being nurtured so that you can nurture other people. You are
Yes,
fueling and feeding yourself so that you're not feeding others from an empty plate, you know?
exactly,
It's
exactly,
important.
Shayla.
And this even, I feel it probably speaks to the way you lead now too. You're
Yeah,
probably leading a little bit differently
I am.
because, with as we mature, we learn.
Mm, yes,
As we experience life,
yes,
we learn even more.
yes,
So
ma'am.
it allows you to lead, with a bigger charge,
Yeah,
with a bigger
indeed,
charge.
indeed,
Um, what
indeed.
would you tell a woman that was standing in the place where you once were? What would you tell her if you had to speak to her right now? What would you say to her?
Mm. One thing I would really say, and this has been a journey for me, and I think a lot of things are how you're raised and things of that nature. But I realized I had a lack of trust in myself. I really did not trust myself, and it would show up in, to your point, in how I was leading, how I was running my business as well, how I was hiring
Yeah,
even.
yeah, yes.
And so, whew, I would say, I would say you've got to trust yourself. But even before that, like, what does that look like? Who are you? Know who you are beyond the business, beyond the numbers, but who are you in your spirit, your essence, your heart? What do you stand for? What do you stand on? And then as you really embody that piece of who you are in this world and you just take ownership of that, there is this level of trust that then just shows up that nobody can thwart. And then those opportunities when they're presented to you, such as the Luxe CEO Inner Circle, see, you know it's for you because there's a level of trust. It's not a space of I'm seeking trust or I'm seeking something outside of myself. No, I'm clear. And then I know this aligns with where I'm going. And all I need are to ask some questions to get some more clarification to make my final decision.
That's it. It
That's it.
starts with the trust.
The trusting
Self-trust is like if you can trust yourself,
mercy.
you move differently.
You do
You
in
move
everything.
differently.
In
Hmm.
everything, in relationships with friends and in romantic relationships and business relationships and in saying yes to conferences, speaking opportunities, all the things. Like
Yeah.
everything just starts to open up so differently. Yeah.
Wow. So what does it mean to you to lead like a
Mm,
Lux CEO? Because
mm.
I call all of you my queens, my Lux
Yes.
queens. What does it mean to you now?
Yeah. For me, you alluded to it before, collaboration is so crucial to me. So for me, it means to lift as I lead. It means to open doors for others that maybe they don't have access to that particular room, but I know they have the skill set to serve that room at the highest level and that their level of excellence is going to be exemplary so that when I make that introduction and they deliver, that person is going to be like, Alycia, I need more of those, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it looks like to me to lift as I lead and to continue to expand my network with amazing, amazing people. So it requires me to say yes to rooms that may make me uncomfortable as well, because in my own uncomfortability, I'm going to meet new people and keep expanding. And then there's going to be more people I can introduce those people to. And it's just an ecosystem of yummy. So that's
Yeah.
what it looks like to me to lift as I lead and to open doors for others that they just may not have access to, but are absolutely equipped to be in that room.
Love it. We're going to end it with one thing here. So, if you had to describe your Lux evolution in one sentence, what would it be?
Mm, my Lux evolution in one sentence. Mm, from lack of self belief, from not being fully sure, to standing in exactly who I know I am built to be today and beyond.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what I
Beautiful.
would say.
It
Yeah.
defines you beautifully. It's
Mm,
everything that I know you for, everything that I know you will continue to be. And
thank you.
it's a beautiful way to end this. Thank you, Alycia.
Thank you. Love you, Shayla.
Love you too. Every evolution starts with a decision. When clarity meets confidence, the real business begins. Your Lux CEO journey is just getting started.